Hello, Croeso and welcome to the Aberystwyth University A-Level Business Lecture Series. We're going to talk today about products. This is part of the marketing mix, product, price, promotion and place, and we're going to concentrate on product today. I'm Dr. Julie Abbott and I'm part of the marketing lecturing team here at Aberystwyth University. So what we're going to look at today are the products themselves and the variables around products and services. You know, we think of products today as something that's tangible, but actually we use products along a whole continuum from pure service down to pure product. So we're going to look at that and we're going to look at the sort of classifications of products that we have. On top of that, we have a product life cycle, and when we are part of a business, we have to keep innovating and creating new products all the time just to keep up and outpace competition. So we're going to have a look at the new product development process as well, and how those new products are adopted by the market. So this is our diffusion of innovation. So what is a product? Well, actually, there is a broad definition of it, which is anything that is offered for use and consumption, and that is usually in exchange for money or some form of value. Because we think of marketing as a value exchange. We provide a customer or a set of customers with something that they value, which we term customer perceived value. We might think it's valuable, but they don't, so it's not really valuable at all. Or we might not think it's of value, but they do. So it's what they think that is valuable that is important. And they, in return, give us value in the form of revenues and profits. So products range. They go from the tangible, which is actually a pure product, so toiletries that we can make use of, a car, for example, to something that's totally intangible, so a service, sort of entertainment or having your hair done or something like that. And then actually go further on to that to experiential. So those of you that have been to Zip World will know, for example, what that is. And in between that, we have a whole range of different products and services that are mixed together. So if we go to a restaurant, for example, we will have the tangible product in the form of food and drink, but we also have the intangible, which is the service around that, and the whole thing goes to make the entire experience for us either good or bad. So when we're looking at products, we look at them as in three separate levels really. And actually in the centre we have the core product, and that's often a functional benefit, but it also can be an emotional benefit as well, dependent on what it is that we're having. So if we're having a chocolate bar, for example, the functional benefit of that core product is that it fills us up, it tastes good, and we feel good afterwards when we have it, really. The embodied product is the whole physical good or the actual delivery of a service. And it includes all the packaging and the features of a product and the brand name itself. So again, if we're looking at a chocolate bar, it might be that we prefer to have one brand over another, one flavour over another, and some are packaged in different ways depending on whether we're buying for a gift or to use for ourselves. And then finally, we have the augmented proposition. And this is everything that goes around the product itself. So the things that go around to support that product or that proposition. So again, in the example of a chocolate bar, that might be actually where it sits within a shop for us to go in, or store for us to go in and purchase it. It might be that it's packaged in different ways so that we might buy 4 or more within one pack, and so on and so forth. And different types of products and propositions will have different core benefits, embodied benefits, and augmented benefits. Often what we find over time is we also can talk about the embodied product as the expected product, and that's what we as consumers would expect when we go to buy things. So as new products come along or new versions of a product come along, things that used to be augmented, which are extras if you like, start to become part of the embodied or expected proposition, the things that we expect. And over time, those again will become the core. So things tend to move inwards on these product levels. And these can be found with the mobile phones, for example, when every version that comes out brings new features of the mobile phone. So they are new augmented proposition. And what were the old features become embodied or even core and expected that we would have from that mobile phone. So as we go into products and we classify them, we have two sorts of products really in the marketplace. We have those that are aimed at consumers and those that are aimed at business. So as far as consumer products are concerned, we can package them in ways of being durable, so those that are going to last a long time and those that are not. So we have durable goods and non-durable goods. And then we also have products that we package and classify as terms of consumer behaviour, so how we work with them or how we actually consume them. And so we have convenience products that are there that we might just buy on impulse. Often these are food and drink. And these are the ones we see when we go into a store, and next to the checkouts we will have a whole lot of impulse purchases. So next time you're going into your local store, go and have a look at different products and where they're placed on the shelves and where they're placed near the checkouts, and that will help you to sort of have an understanding of what are impulse and what are not. We'll have emergency products, again, things that we need in an emergency, and often we have convenience stores that will have all of these things in for us, and even garages these days will stock these types of the convenience products, which are our staples, impulse purchases and emergency purchases. So our staples will be things like, we've run out of cat food, or we've got to buy some flour, or we need milk, and those sorts of things. So there are convenience products, and we know these every day. These are the ones that we purchase pretty much on a day-by-day basis. We have our shopping products, again, those that they might be our foodstuffs, they might be clothes that we wear, it might be all sorts of things, or games, or hobbies. The things that we tend to buy on a regular basis are our shopping products. But then we have specialities, and these can be things like gift items, very much so, important items for us, those that we have a high involvement with. So they might be a house, it might be some furniture, it might be an engagement ring, some jewellery, something special for us in our lives, and those are our speciality products. Then we have unsought products, and these are things that we don't think we need, we don't think we want, but actually once we see them being advertised or we see our friends with them, we realise we do suddenly want to have them. And they can be those, as I said, they might be speciality areas, the next level of speciality product, if you like. You have one level and all of a sudden something is there that you think, actually that would be helpful to me, but you don't actually go out and seek it or think that it's something that you want. On the business side, it's different. So in a consumer environment, we often buy in an emotional way. Okay, so we might have money in our pocket and we might want to go out quite logically to buy something, and actually our emotions take over and we buy emotionally, which is why we have the sorts of classifications that we do. On a business side of things, the products are bought always on a logical, rational way of thinking. We buy them for particular reasons. And so when we're classifying our products in a business-to-business environment, we classify them according to specific sectors and specific areas. So we have those goods that are part of our equipment, part of what we need in order to do business. So it might be part of a production line, for example. Then we'll have our absolute raw materials, so it might be sheet metal, it might be, although those also can be classed as semi-finished goods unless they've actually been brought in. They might be iron ore to make the metal sheets if we're in that sort of environment. But the absolute raw materials that we do bring in. So if we're a blow moulding company, for example, we might buy in all the polymers to do that blow moulding. Semi-finished goods, again, there will be metal sheets. It might be tyres if we're a car assembly outfit. If we're actually buying in wheels, for example, we would buy in tyres and the wheel hubs and actually produce the wheels for that. So there are all sorts of things in that environment that we would buy in as products. We also have our goods that we use to maintain, repair and operate our business. And these are our MRO goods, as we call them. On top of that, we will have components. So if we're a car assembly plant, we might be thinking of things such as our wiring looms or headlights or that sort of thing. And also finally, we would have services. So often companies will outsource different services, so their HR functions, for example, or their IT functions. They might get in consultants and so on and so forth. And these are the business services. So these are all the different types of products that we would have within a business-to-business environment. So if we're looking at you guys wanted to go out and go to university, and you might want to take an entrance exam to get scholarships and better offers within a university. In particular, I can only tell you what we do here at Aberystwyth, but these are the sorts of content that I'm talking about today that we would have within our entrance exam. So if you do want to have a go at coming to Aber and getting involved in our entrance exam, here's a link to help you do that. So we have different terminology for products. You might have heard product ranges, product lines, product mixes, and so on and so forth. And here's just sort of an aid memoir for you to go through that. So if we're talking about product item, that's just a single product within a product line. The product line itself is a group of products that are related, and they're quite closely related as well. So you might find that a whole lot of mobile phones that are offered by a single producer, such as Samsung or Apple, would be a product line. A product mix is the whole number of lines offered by a particular company. So Apple will offer mobile phones, they offer laptops, they offer iPads, and they offer desktop computers, for example, along with other offerings. Then the strength of the product line is actually about the number of items within a particular product line. So if you have a number of tablets, if you have a range of tablets, for example, then that would give you the number of products within that range gives you the product line length. Depth is a number of variations, so you might have different amounts of packaging and pack sizes, for example, and different types of product within that line. That makes it, gives you an idea of the product depth. And then the width is the number of lines within a product mix. It can get quite complex at times when you're understanding all this, but really, if you think, to begin with, just think about your items and your product lines and your product mixes, which will give you a good understanding to begin with. So all products have a life cycle, and when we introduce products into a life cycle, we start off at a level where we've actually had to invest a lot of money in product development. So as you can see here at the beginning, we actually have nobody taking these products up because they're being developed, but actually there's a cost involved. That cost is quite heavy at times. So as products are introduced, you'll find at the first level of introduction, there are no profits. There's still money to be spent in marketing as well as the cost to produce these new products. Then they go into a heavy growth curve, hopefully, and that has profits following them. Now the concern in a way about heavy growth is if it's a very popular product that's been taken on, you will get a lot of competitors in at this point as well. And when we get to this point, so it's highly competed. When we get here, when we get into the maturity of a product, we have what's called shakeout. And a lot of competitors fall by the wayside and you're just left with the few top strong competitors over this time. And at that point, sales are starting to level out and profits are starting to drop. And over time, we go into decline of the product, so the profits really drop off and so do the sales accordingly. So think of things like video technology and you can sort of see what's happened over there. When we get to this point, however, this is when companies start to think about adding new things to the products and extending the product life cycle, really. And so we have what we often term as a midlife kicker, where we would bring out a new version to hopefully take us back here into a new growth cycle and to start building our profits again. And that's how we carry on in marketing and in business with extending our products and letting things grow. And if you look at the mobile phone world, you can start to see that because every few months we start to get new versions of mobile phones coming in just to keep these life cycles growing. So we use the product life cycle in order to help us to understand where our products are. So it's very useful in explaining the paths that the products and brands take. So it does have some advantages. It will help marketing managers understand and put strategies in place to meet all these needs of the evolving and changeable conditions of the marketplace, because things move very, very fast today within markets, and product managers and market managers are always having to move even more quickly to keep their products at the forefront and ahead of the competition. It's a framework that's very, very clear and simple, so it's easy to use and we can use it to predict quite easily, hopefully anyway. But it is helpful as well, and it shows how products and brands can develop. But not everything actually meets meets this product life cycle curve, so it does have some disadvantages. Sometimes it can be a bit of limited use dependent on what the products are and what services. It can be difficult to identify exactly where a product is in the life cycle, especially if it's a fairly new product, and maybe if it's a product that doesn't have a huge amount of competition in the marketplace. If the environment is very, very changeable and dynamic, then its use drops because things move too quickly to be able to plot it on this bell curve. And again, at the end, and some brands and products don't follow this bell curve. So fashion and fad products, for example, don't follow this curve. So it can be more difficult to use a product life cycle in those instances. Now, we've talked a lot about products, but actually services are quite different from products. And they have some core characteristics. So whereas a product is tangible, i.e. we can touch it and feel it, we can't with a service. It's intangible, it can't be touched and felt. Products can sit on a product line in a store for a long time. They're imperishable, whereas services are not. As soon as you've engaged with the service, it's gone. So it's very perishable. They don't last at all. Again, products are not overly variable at times, whereas services are very, very variable. They are heterogeneous. They're almost everyone is unique. So we have to, again, build that into our plans for our services. How do we try and keep them as invariable as possible so that we always deliver something that's really good to our customer set? They're inseparable, so as you purchase a service is delivered typically. And so we, not like a product which again we might buy and keep on a shelf for a number of years. Services we typically buy and use at the same sort of time. Or they can't be used again. Once they're gone, they're gone. And we don't own a service, actually. We can own products, but we don't own services. We utilise services, we consume services, but we don't own them. So they are quite different from products in the way that we have strategies for them and in the way that we go to market with them as well. Now, innovation is key in a business, and so the new product development process is something that all businesses should be going through on a regular basis. But we must understand that it's quite expensive and it can be quite risky for a company. So if we get the wrong product in development, it doesn't do the company any good. So we have to have an awful lot of understanding and market research before we really go into the product process to begin with. Once we do start looking at new product development, and often when we're doing that, it isn't something that's brand new, it's often an extension to an existing product that we know we have a need for by understanding our marketplace. So we start off with idea generation, and in this area we want to create as many ideas as possible. Because every time we go to the next step down the process, it costs us more money. So the whole point thing is we generate lots and lots of ideas, and then the next level, we screen out as many of them as possible. And we only take forward past the screening stage any products or potential products that we think might work for us. After the screening stage, we then start doing some market analysis to see whether these products might work, and we might actually put together business plans for them. We might also run some prototypes at this stage as well. Once we have a really good understanding that these products or product sets are going to be useful, we will put some into development, and then we'll talk to some very small groups of people and look at the selection of those products to go forward into the next stage. So we'd have some small focus groups at this stage, potentially at the development stage. After that, we'll go into test marketing. So we'll go into bigger groups of marketing, bigger segments of our marketplace to understand whether these are really going to work for us. And once we're comfortable that this new product will fly, then we'll go to the final stage and fully commercialise it with a full set of marketing behind it. And hopefully it will run, and we will start up on the product life cycle into the introduction and growth phase. So it is risky to the business, and it can be expensive and very expensive if we get it wrong. However, it's vital. We have to keep our product portfolio moving, particularly in marketplaces today when they're very changeable, they're volatile, they're highly competitive, and if we don't keep running, we won't just stand still, we'll fall backwards very quickly in the marketplace. However, 9 out of 10 new products fail, and this is why it's very risky to the business, and why we have to make sure that when we're looking at developing a new product, we really do the research beforehand. But there are three main reasons why products fail. And the first one is that there is no market for the product, that we haven't researched it properly and the market isn't ready for it. Or that we've got something wrong with the product itself and we haven't met the market needs. And finally, the product might meet needs of the market and there's a full market out there for it, but we don't get it to market in the right way. We fail in our marketing of that product, and therefore the whole product will fail. So once we get products in and we go through our product life cycle, who is it that buys the product? And when we're looking at this, we talk about the diffusion of innovation curve, because new product development is actually about innovation. So to begin with, we will just have the innovators that buy it. Those that, again, it's often an unsought product at this time. So it's people that are really keen and eager, and they are happy to innovate. And often at this time, it's got quite a high price tag on it, because it's a new product coming in, and the producers have to recoup the costs of that development. So this has quite a high price tag, and the innovators are happy about that usually because they've got something, they're first with that product and nobody else has got it. So they sort of have bragging rights over that product, as we call it. As the growth starts, we have the early adopters that take it, and this again is a small amount of the marketplace. So if we're looking at this, we're still at less than 25% of the marketplace, and we're just starting out our growth curve. And at this point, we don't tend to have too many competitors here. We're still the only game in town if it's something brand new. So think about when the iPod very first came out for Apple. And then as we come into the growth, we get this early majority and we start to see competitors coming in here. So again, if we're thinking of iPod, we will have had the other MP3 players starting to come into this marketplace now. And we're really starting to get a good adoption here of this new product. So we've got about 50% of the market has adopted this new innovation here. And the growth continues with the late majority. And this is again when we're starting to see more and more competition coming in. And then we get to the top here when we've got about 75% or so of the people to adopt of the marketplace. And this is when we start to get shakeout, because we're now starting to get into the stability phase of our product life cycle and the diffusion of that innovation, because we've actually almost got to saturation point here, and we've only got the laggards coming along now to buy this new product or this innovation. And we're finding here is where we might find that new versions are now coming along if we're thinking back to our product life cycle. And I talk about product life cycle and the diffusion of innovation curve together because actually that's how we often tend to use these curves, is we use these frameworks together. So this is how we look at diffusion of innovation. At this point we tend to have the shakeout again, and we tend to lose a lot of competitors, and we go into this phase here with only a few people developing the product or selling the product. So, in summary, this short lecture has hopefully enabled you to have a little bit more understanding around products and services and the classifications of them, to help you to understand some of the frameworks that we use, particularly the life cycle and the new product development process, and how we use diffusion of innovation and product life cycle together. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope this has been of use to you.